All right, Jeff Zimmerman here with one of the best trainers in the world, Ronnie Shields. How you doing, Ronnie?
Doing great, man.
You're here in Dallas, man, right up the road from Houston. What brings you down?
Well, my kid David Stevens is fighting an 8-round fight in the opener of the DAZN show.
Talk about him. What kind of talent is he?
He's a really, really good talent, man. He's a young kid, 22 years old, about to be 23, but he's from Reading, Pennsylvania, and strong kid, man. Got one of the best left hooks in boxing, and he's kind of sort of pressure fighter, but we're trying to just get him going now.
You're building him, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Which is what you do best, man. I got to ask you, down in Houston, the Charlo brothers down there, you're still working with Jermall?
Yes.
What's the latest with him? He hasn't been in the ring for a while, but hopefully this summer?
Oh, yes, it's definitely going to be this summer. Definitely for sure. Matter of fact, he's coming to the fight on tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yes.
Any idea who he might face?
Not yet. They're throwing some names out. But, till we get something solid, then we'll be announcing soon.
Now, he's been at 160 for a long time. Is that still his weight in your opinion, or should
absolutely, he? Absolutely. He has no problem making 160 pounds. As long as he can do it, he'll stay there. But, the most important thing now, getting him back in the ring and making sure, he fights consistently.
Right. Now, there was a big fight last weekend, a super fight. You know all about super fights just from your career and being around this business. What did you think of that fight? I mean, the fight, it wasn't Hagler-Hearns, which many had hoped, but it was certainly a big fight for boxing.
Yes, it was a great fight for boxing, man. And, boxing really needs those fights consistently, but, it was. Both guys went in and did what they were supposed to do. But, Ryan just got caught with a shot that I think every fighter in the world, I think you got caught like that in the gym or in a real fight. And I know I suffered that kind of injury before. I've got hit like that in the gym before. And, man, it's that delayed reaction is crazy.
Yeah, talk about that, because I think for the fans, you see the headshots and it's like, oh my God, this guy's cut up, he's bleeding, and so forth. But it's really the body that is the killer.
Yeah, the body's the killer, man. When he got hit like in a perfect spot, and here's the thing that happens is like your body, you feel it, but it don't click in until like a second or two later. And that's when when it click in, that's when you see Ryan start backing up. And he knew it. The way he was drawing back, I said, oh, he's hurt. And then it really hit him. And it's like all the blood just all together just, tightens up. And you can't help but go down because it takes your breath away. Yeah,
did you think he was going to get up? I mean,
no.
he knew he was watching the count in front of him.
Yes, I didn't think he could get up. Like I say, it happened to me in the gym, and it takes you a minute to get up. So I didn't. When I saw him get hit and go back, but then I started seeing him start taking that knee. I said, his body just gave up.
Now Tank, undefeated, making his claim as the face of boxing, and it's really hard to argue putting on a show like that. But who's the best in that group out there, 130, 140? Because there's some talent.
Man, there's a lot of talent out there. It really is. Look, it's hard to say who's the best until these guys fight and there's one left, then we'll never know.
What are your thoughts on Shakur Stevenson?
One of the best fighters ever to put on a pair of gloves. This kid, he really, really can fight. And if anybody underestimates this kid, they're going to get beat.
He almost, and I interviewed Sugar Ray Leonard recently, and I didn't get a chance to ask him, but obviously he was an Olympian, both
right.
Sugar gold, Shakur silver,
right.
But they got that smile, kind of that $1 million looks.
Yeah.
But then they get in the ring. He seems like a generational talent.
Yes, he is a generational talent. Absolutely. This kid, he's going to be around a long time. As long as he keep his life clean, this kid. And this kid, look, he's already back in the gym. I got a good friend of mine that does his conditioning. And he works with some of my fighters also, the conditioning guy. And he say, man, he's already back in the gym. So that's what you want to see out of these young fighters.
Yeah, and then you got Devin Haney and Loma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where-
And look, but the good thing is we'll see who wins out of that fight, and then that whoever wins will add their name to the top of Shakur, Tank, and whoever wins that fight, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and we'll wrap it up here. I'm with Ronnie Shields. I covered him when he was here with Evander Holyfield many years ago, working with him. But going back to Jermall real quick, you saw the fight with Benavidez and Plant.
Right.
And it seems like those are the guys that are always in the conversation for Jermall, even though they're in different weight classes.
Yes.
But those seem to be the super fights. Could you see him just going up to 68?
I can see him going up to 68, within a year. Absolutely. But right now, at 68, my guy, David Morrell, he's going after David Benavidez. That's who he wants next.
Thank you for bringing him up, and I apologize for not mentioning him.
okay.
I interviewed him yesterday, in fact, Ronnie, and talked about his story from Cuba and did not realize he was 130-2 as an amateur.
Yeah.
So even though he only has 9 pro fights,
Right.
he has experience.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And let me tell you something. This kid, man, he's a natural talent. Everything's come to this kid natural. He's one of the best guys I've ever worked with. And one of the nicest guys you're gonna ever meet. He's just an all-around good guy, and he loves to fight, and that's the most important thing.
I asked him where his power came from because a lot of Cubans, as we know, like the Rigondeaux and Laras, they're more slick, and he's got power, and he basically said hard work.
Absolutely.
He didn't say God-given. It's hard work.
Absolutely. But with the talent that he has, he works really hard. So that just makes it easier for him in a lot of these fights. So.
Now, he did call out the Mexican monster yesterday when I talked to him, but obviously Benavidez has his sights on Canelo. Of course, which anybody would.
But David David Morrell has his sights on Canelo also. So he wants that fight, and he deserves that fight. But, Benavidez also deserves that fight also. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
So maybe a semifinals between David and
yeah, but still, it's
David and David.
It still don't guarantee you go get Canelo.
Right. Right.
The boxing organizations, I feel they're not doing their job. They want the best to fight the best, but when you have the best picking and choosing, it'll never happen.
Well, listen, let's hope last week was the genesis for these super fights. I know you've been around a long time and been there, was a hell of a fighter, seen it all. Ronnie, I appreciate the time. Always great seeing you.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.